The Story of Abu Fatima and His Four Wives in Canada. A novel by Dr. A. Ahmed. This is an intriguing epic story which resonates with love, resilience, courage, and sacrifice. Copyrights. All rights are reserved. No part of this book may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means without the prior written permission of the author, except by a reviewer, who may quote brief paragraphs for a review to be printed in a public newspaper, general magazine, school journal, or university article. This book is a work of fiction, but the entire novel is based on real stories of 4 Muslim girls and their polygamist husband in Canada. All names, characters, places, and events are either the product of the author's imagination or used literary. Therefore, any resemblance to actual people, living or dead, events, or locales is merely coincidental. Chapter 8. No sex before the Islamic halal marriage. After a year from the day her terrorist husband was carried from her apartment as a lifeless body, kept for 2 weeks in a hospital, and finally thrown behind bars and kept under lock and key, his first wife Ibtisam has been able to release herself from his heavy yoke. She has been legally divorced by the Canadian secular court from her cruel husband. She got her freedom after living for 15 years with her terrorist husband. She did not only divorce her first husband, but she decided to replace him with a better Muslim husband. During the year of the incarceration of Abu Fatima, his first wife Ibtisam's love for Zakia's husband continued to grow stronger day after day. The two illicit lovers communicated through phones and computers. Whenever he left his apartment and headed to his workplace, Zakia's husband used his cell phone and called his distant beloved girlfriend. When he returned home and his wife left for her all-night home care job, the unfaithful husband used his computer, contacted Ibtisam, and began to have cybersex with her. He had secretly sent money to Ibtisam and helped her to purchase a laptop too. On some occasions, Zakia's husband fooled his wife and traveled to Edmonton City and met with Ibtisam in her apartment. Even so, Ibtisam refused to allow him to have real sex with her before marrying her. For her marriage is an imperative condition for real sex. She has no objection to any kind of porn sex except penetrating her pussy. This type of sex is called in Islam al-lamam, and there is no punishment for it in the Sharia law. In the Quran, the man can do whatever he wants to do with a woman who is not his wife except penetration. This is called in the Quran al-lamam, mentioned in Surah al-Najm 53, verse 32. A Muslim man one day came to the Prophet Muhammad and told him that a woman came to his shop, and he asked her to come inside to choose the best dates he had. The woman believed his words and walked in. He immediately jumped on her, seized her body, and began to rape her. Then, he went on to say, he hugged her, kissed her, undressed her, caressed her breasts, fondled her private parts, and inserted his fingers in her pussy. The Prophet asked him whether he had real sex with her. There is a hadith of the Prophet which mentioned that Muhammad had used the 4-letter word while he was trying to know whether the man had real sex with the woman or not. In that, he openly asked him, "Have you fucked her in her pussy?" The man said no. In short, he said he had touched her bare-naked body everywhere and did everything to her except penetrating her vagina. He even admitted that he had ejaculated his semen on her naked body. The Prophet Muhammad ordered him to wash himself only without ordering him to be whipped 100 lashes or get stoned to death. Therefore, in the Sharia, hugging, kissing, fondling, and touching of a woman everywhere by a man who is not her husband would not be considered adultery or fornication, and hence there is no punishment for them. Even anal sex is not adultery. The sexual act of adultery is defined by penile penetration of the vagina. Therefore, according to the Sharia law, whatever Zakia's husband had done with his secret girlfriend and continues to do with the first wife of Abu Fatima, Ibtisam so far is not haram or adultery or rape, and hence they have no punishment in Islam. I have purposely avoided mentioning the name of Zakia's husband because his name is opposite to his character. His real name is Mukhlis, which means faithful husband to his wife, but as we have seen, his improper behavior is antithetical to his name. However, living apart and staying separated in 2 different cities has become difficult for the 2 secret lovers. Nevertheless, as they say, separated lovers always cheat absence and are eager for each other. Therefore, they long to live together under the same roof and sleep in the same bed. However, as we have also stated above, Ibtisam told her secret lover that she would not have vaginal sex with him except in a halal way as her lawful Muslim husband. Therefore, the lovers decided to get married. Ibtisam told her lover that she had no objection to sharing him with his first Muslim wife Zakiya. She had already shared her polygamist husband with other 3 women who were all younger than her. Since a Muslim man could marry up to 4 women at the same time, what is the problem of having 2 wives together? Ibtisam has a long experience of living with a dangerous polygamist husband who quite often raped her. He even sodomized her against her wish. By the way, the recently divorced wife Ibtisam had even refused to practice anal sex with Zakiya's husband. She promised to allow him to have anal sex with her if he married her in the halal way. There is a belief, but we cannot confirm it, that a circumcised or genitally mutilated Muslim wife enjoys anal sex more than vaginal sex. Maybe this belief is true because the circumcised girl has a numbed vagina or a dead pussy. Ibtisam knows the Quran allows the husband to have anal sex with his wife against her wish. Commenting on the Quran, Surah Al-Baqarah 2, verse 223, the Moroccan professor Fatima Mernisai argues that Islam allows the Muslim man to have anal sex with his wife against her wish. The verse was revealed when an Ansari woman refused to allow her husband to have anal sex with her, citing Mernisai, 1993, page 145. The woman went to Salama, wife of the Prophet Muhammad and women's representative, and requested her to bring the matter before her husband. When Salama inquired from the Prophet, a verse descended from heaven, which says, "Your women are a field for you to cultivate, so approach your field in any position you wish." Surah Al-Baqarah 2, verse 223. This verse gives men the right to choose the sexual position they want, and if they desire, they are permitted to sodomize their wives against their wishes. Mernisai, 1993, page 146. Therefore, the former wife of the apprehended terrorist Abu Fatima believed if she was able to share her evil husband with 3 wives who were all younger than her, it would not be difficult to share her secret lover with one rival wife who is 10 years older than her and less attractive. Zakiya's husband accepted the plan of Ibtisam and agreed to marry her as his second wife. To avoid any clash between his first wife and Ibtisam, the husband decided to have a subtle way of a halal marriage. So, the wheel of infidelity is set in motion. Zakiya is told by her husband that she should go and visit her family in Sudan. Since the time she immigrated to Canada 10 years ago, the first wife Zakiya has never been to her country of origin. She was extremely happy when her husband agreed to send her for a 2-month visit to her family in Khartoum. Shortly after Zakiya and her 5 children left Canada, her husband fixed the date for his second marriage with his lovely girlfriend Ibtisam. All those arrangements took place in the dark and no one knew about them except Allah and the 2 secret lovers. Ibtisam did neither tell Dr. Al-Hout about her love affair with Zakiya's husband, nor is she likely to inform him about her secret Islamic second marriage. Nevertheless, Dr. Al-Hout knows about her secret love affair from the beginning, but he continues to love her. To secure their marriage and to keep it secret, Zakiya's husband decided to get married to Ibtisam in a small town in North Canada. The unfaithful husband used to work over there before he moved to Edmonton City. So, he knows some Sudanese friends in that town. He traveled 1 month ahead of Ibtisam and made all the arrangements for his second wedding. Since it is illegal in Canada to practice Islamic polygamy by having 2 wives at the same time, Zakiya's husband approached a Muslim Maulana or mullah and told him about his intention. Maulana is informed that Zakiya's husband is already a married man, and his first wife is still living with him with their 5 children. Even though Maulana still welcomed the idea and agreed to conduct the secret Islamic second marriage. Ibtisam and to-be her husband decided never to register their marriage officially, but to keep it secret. Their main insurmountable problem is that, as a Muslim man and a Muslim woman, they do not want to be involved in any haram sexual relationship until they get married religiously according to the Holy Quran of Allah and the sacred Sunnah of His Prophet Muhammad. Chapter 9. On the day of the second marriage of Ibtisam in Canada. The fiancée Ibtisam kept her 4 daughters with a Sudanese family and traveled to North Canada to get married to her dream man, the husband of Zakia. She lied to the family by telling them that she had been invited to a Sudanese couple's wedding in the city of Calgary. On her arrival, Zakia's husband booked for her a room in a small motel. He is staying in the same motel, but in a different room. Ibtisam arrived 2 days before her wedding. Her fiancé took her for a tour around the town. For the first time in her abusive married life, the abused wife Ibtisam went to a movie theater and watched an American film. She had never been allowed to go to a cinema when she was in Sudan. Therefore, she had never seen a movie before that day. At the end of their tour, the fiancé and her fiancé enjoyed a delicious dinner in a big Arabic restaurant. The day is considered the most wonderful day for the fiancé. She had spent over 15 years of her life under the tyranny of her former terrorist husband, who is known as Mr. Muhammad Ahmed Abdul Ghader or Abu Fatima, and at present, he is locked in prison for 2 years. The wedding had been scheduled to take place at 7:30 p.m. The marriage ceremony is supposed to be celebrated in the house of one of her fiancé's old friends. Only trustworthy Sudanese friends have been informed and invited to this secret Islamic marriage. Around 30 Sudanese people have attended the wedding ceremony. They are 10 men, 13 women, and 7 children. Those women have cooked delicious Sudanese dishes in their houses and brought them with them. Of course, Zakia's husband has paid for preparing the food. The wedding guests and the bride and groom are supposed to enjoy the delicious food after the wedding ceremony. Then, the newly wedded couple are supposed to go for a 1-week honeymoon in Victoria City. They have already booked their hotel. The Islamic Maulana who is to conduct the halal marriage has arrived shortly after the fiancé and the fiancé have come from their motel. Everything went as expected. Maulana read some verses from the Holy Quran before he declared the bride and the groom to be lawful husband and wife. Then, the 2 lovers for the first time have kissed one another and that in public. After that, Maulana and the guests wished the newly wedded couple a happy married life and asked Allah to bless them with many blessed children. It is only in movies and storybooks that the cops would come on a wedding day and object to the lawfulness of a marriage contract. In real life, things like that would never happen. Unfortunately, that is exactly what happened on the wedding day of the lovely bride Ibtisam and her handsome groom. 10 police officers raided the wedding place and forcefully entered the house where the bride Ibtisam and her groom had been declared a few minutes ago by a recognized Muslim religious leader as lawful husband and his lawful Muslim wife. There are 6 policemen, 4 policewomen, and 1 police dog. They are armed to the teeth. They first approached the groom and asked him for proof that he had divorced his wife Zakia before he married Ibtisam. The groom has become speechless. Before we see what has happened, after that we must ask and try to find answers to some urgent questions. How did the cops know that the groom had a wife by the name of Zakia? How did they come to know that the girl who is standing beside him is called Ibtisam? How did they know about the wedding and its place and time? Those questions and many more puzzled Zakia's husband and made him speechless. Ibtisam is also astonished and stands like a statue staring at the Canadian cops. "Do you know, ma'am?" asked a police officer. "This man is already married to a woman by the name of Zakia Ahmed?" "No, sir," said Ibtisam. Ibtisam never knew the last name of Zakia was Ahmed before. "Do you know that he is still legally bound by that marriage?" "Not at all, sirs." Zakia's husband has already informed Ibtisam that Canadian law would not accept his second Islamic marriage. He told her that in Canada polygamy as well as polyandry are unlawful and crimes punishable by the law. So, she understood that if they were found out they would go directly to prison. Therefore, to avoid spending her honeymoon in a dungeon among suspects and convicted criminals, Ibtisam has decided to betray her lover and throw her groom under the bus and save herself. The police officer turned his face toward the Muslim Maulana and said, "Sir, are you aware that this man has another wife?" The Muslim Maulana massaged his long beard before he answered negatively to the police officer's question. He too does not want to lose his marriage license and spend the rest of his life locked behind bars. He is quite an old geezer, and therefore he might die behind bars before he spends half of his prison term. Sir, you are under arrest under the charge of practicing your Islamic polygamy in Canada, said the police officer to Zakia's husband. Ibtisam could forget everything in her life, but she would never forget the face of her lover when the Canadian cops handcuffed him and took him away as a bad criminal. That night the new bride, Ibtisam, could not sleep for a second. She returned to the same room in the small motel and began to cry like a baby who had lost his mother. She could not sleep throughout the night. Two questions have troubled her mind and drove sleep away from her eyes. Who is that wicked person who has betrayed them and informed the police about their confidential and private marriage? Is she legally married to Zakia's husband or not? Before she left the town, Ibtisam contacted the Muslim Maulana and inquired about the validity of her marriage with Zakia's husband. The mullah is a Pakistani man, and he believes in his Sharia law more than the Canadian secular law. He believes his Islamic law has been divinely revealed by Allah to his beloved Prophet Muhammad, and the latter law is man-made and invented by the Western infidels. Therefore, the religious imam told her that before God she is lawfully wedded to Zakia's husband. However, he openly told Ibtisam that such kind of an Islamic marriage is legally not accepted in Canada. Therefore, it is up to her to decide which law she wants to follow, the divine law of Allah or the secular man-made law. Ibtisam found herself being caught up in a serious dilemma. Should she consider her secret plan to marry Zakia's husband a failure and the matter ended by the arrest of her lover? Or should she consider Zakia's husband as her legal husband, and she has the same right to him as his first wife has? She could not answer either of the two questions. Chapter 10. The New Bride and the Old Geezer. The ex-wife number one of the imprisoned criminal man Abu Fatima returned to Edmonton City as a defeated soldier who went to a far place and fought and got defeated and also humiliated by her enemies. She locked herself in her apartment and continued to ponder over her serious dilemma. As regards the person who informed the police about her secret marriage, Ibtisam thought of two rivals. The first is her rival Zakia and the second is the old geezer Dr. Alhout. Only those two would be interested in stopping her from getting married to her lover. However, how did Zakia or Dr. Alhout come to know about their clandestine marriage? This question has also exceedingly puzzled her. She could not believe that the old man Dr. Alhout knew about her secret plan to marry Zakia's husband, and he kept quiet. He would have advised her not to do that because he lived over 40 years in Canada and knew the laws of the country. Wherefore, Ibtisam concluded that most probably someone informed Zakia about their underground marriage, and Zakia called the Canadian police from Sudan and lodged a complaint against her husband. As regards who is the person who informed Zakia, that is a great mystery, which has also extremely puzzled Ibtisam and her imprisoned lover. Upon her return, Ibtisam found 20 recorded calls in her answering machine from Dr. Alhout. In each message, he inquired about her safety and wanted to know where she was. Ibtisam wiped all the messages and decided not to contact the old geezer until she overcame her shock and grief. Notwithstanding, the crazy lover continued to phone and leave messages. When the phone could not connect him to his lovely beloved girlfriend Ibtisam, the old geezer Dr. Alhout came in person to find out what had happened to her. Ibtisam received him with a feigned smile. "Where have you been all this time? I am so worried about you. I have left many messages on your answering machine. I was out of town. Why didn't you tell me about that? I am sorry, but I went to attend a wedding." "Whose wedding?" "Some of my relatives in Calgary got their daughter married to her male cousin 2 days ago." "Well, I have heard an awfully disturbing news about you. Everyone in Edmonton is talking about it. I heard that you went to North Canada. You wanted to marry Zakia's husband, but the police." "Please stop it," shouted Ibtisam while her face revealed an incredible anger. "I cannot believe that you wanted to do something like that. Why can't you believe it? Have I done something wrong? Is not the Muslim man allowed to marry 2 wives? Have I forced Zakia's husband to marry me against his wish? Thank God, you have not married him, otherwise you would have landed in prison with him. Yes, I know that you will tell me in Canada a Muslim man is not allowed to marry more than 1 wife. Yes, it is illegal to do so here. Should we follow the secular man-made law of Canada or the Sharia law of our holy Quran and the Sunnah of our gracious Prophet Muhammad? We have no choice here. Whether we like it or not, we have to follow the laws of Canada while we are staying in this country. Okay, forget it. I do not want to talk about this anymore. I know I am always a loser woman. Every man I loved I could not get. What about the man who loves you more than he loves himself? Is that you? Yes, it is me, Ibtisam. You know how much I love you. Will you do what I want? Yes, I am ready to do anything to win your heart. If I agree to marry you, will you take me back to Sudan? I do not want to live here. I hate this land of the accursed infidels. Ibtisam, you know I have a lot of money. You also know how famous I am. I am ready to take you around the world if you marry me. That day, Ibtisam agreed to marry Dr. Al-Hout for some selfish reasons. Firstly, it is a big honor in Sudan for a woman to marry a man who is a PhD doctor and is also a university professor. Secondly, she wants to enjoy traveling around the world with Dr. Al-Hout. Every 2 or 3 months, Dr. Al-Hout is invited to attend an international conference. Ibtisam knew about this, and that is why she agreed to marry such an old man who is 52 years older than her. Thirdly, Dr. Al-Hout is one of the most famous Sudanese writers and speakers. Besides all these, Dr. Al-Hout is a very wealthy man. He owned many properties in Sudan and Canada. Ibtisam expected to inherit all his wealth and properties when he died. She anticipated he might not live for more than a few years after she married him. Accordingly, the lovely woman Ibtisam and her new fiancé Dr. Al-Hout got married 1 month after that tragic day. She is 31 years old, and her husband number 3 was 83 years old geezer when they got married. Nothing has more shocked the Sudanese community in Canada and all over the world than the incredible news that Dr. Al-Hout, at the age of 80+, married a girl who is younger than his granddaughter. As he promised, Dr. Al-Hout left Canada, took his wife number 3 and her 4 daughters, and returned to Sudan. After a year of their marriage, Ibtisam and her old husband Dr. Al-Hout had twin babies. They are 2 boys. Nevertheless, all Sudanese in Edmonton City believe that Dr. Al-Hout is the one who convinced Ibtisam to divorce her imprisoned husband because he wanted to snatch the lovely young woman from her terrorist man. Also, he is the one who informed the police authorities about the secret marriage of Zakia's husband and Ibtisam. He is the one who bought Ibtisam because of his wealth and fame. However, the old geezer denied all these accusations and claimed to be as innocent as the wolf is innocent from the blood of Joseph, the son of Jacob.